So this week has been Infant Mental Health Awareness Week 2020, and I just wanted to share this little video just to sort of sum up why this week is particularly important to me, and it's something that I'm passionate about. So the way I was parented was affected by a family tragedy, and in turn that affected the way I parented. Then add to the fact, as some of you know, my P was born at 27 weeks, so he was quite ill, and then I had postnatal anxiety. So all of these affected the way I parented. I still am a helicopter mum. I was very overprotective, very anxious nature. And so that has in turn affected my child's mental health. I think the first time I realised how badly it was affected was when P was 5 or thereabouts. So he'd obviously had his health issues due to his prematurity. He was in and out of hospital a fair bit for the first part of his life. We were always in all the hay, needing a little bit of oxygen, a couple of nebulizers, and this made him miss a lot of time off school. As a result of that, not only did he fall behind in his studies, but he missed the foundation stones of how to, create friendships, really. And so he'd make friends and then he'd be off again. And his attendance in school was really low. It was 55, 58%. And so by the time he then went back into school, those friends had moved on to other friends. And so that affected his mental health a lot. Like I said, I had a postnatal anxiety, and I was just an anxious parent anyway because of family issues that had gone on. And that in turn made him quite an anxious child because they do mirror what they feel. And I didn't know how much at the time. I thought I was quite good at hiding how I was feeling. Obviously not, because the infant's mental health speaks high volumes about how they're parented, and he struggled a fair bit. I remember one time we were in the middle of Costco in Liverpool, and he just had a meltdown. And during his meltdown, he would hurt himself. He would, if he thought he was going to get told off, if he thought he'd done something wrong, he would literally put his hands to his face and scratch right down so hard. And he was trying to do this in Costco, and so the only way I knew to stop it was to physically restrain him. And we were sat in the middle of the car park on the floor. I was just holding him in a bear hug so he couldn't hurt himself, and he was hurting me. And then the more he was causing me to bleed, the more guilt he felt and the more sadness he felt, and then that triggered off a whole other breakdown. And it was just a really, really traumatic experience for both of us. And that was probably the time then when I realised we need some support with this. As much as I can try and be a good mum, there's something else that I just can't fix. Around that time as well, we had a death in the family, and my granddad died. And we are a very close-knit family, and P was around him, right through his illness. And our family are very, very close-knit. So he felt that. And then we had another 2 deaths not far after that. So my auntie died, and her daughter, my cousin, actually died. And we decided not to tell P about this because he handled my granddad's death so badly. So we kept it from him, thinking we were doing the best. And, as all parents do, you make decisions that you think are the best for your child. And then we happened to be in Alder Hay, and Ethan, one of Ethan's consultants, used to be his cousin's consultant. And we bumped into him in the Costa, and he recognised us and asked, about the family and sent his condolences. And I seen Ethan's face as he realised that I hadn't told him this news, and this was very new to him. And he didn't. He took that worse than the actual death. It was, I'd kept this from him. I hadn't trusted him with this information. I'd treated him like a baby. And I mean, he was my baby. He still is. He's 11 this year, and he's still my baby. But I guess to a child trying to work out their own identity, that was a big thing for him. We also had around that time a breakdown of the family home. So P's dad was in the army and had an accident in the army and was medically discharged. And he suffered with PTSD, which massively impacted the family home. He also had issues with prescription drugs. And so all of these experiences had led up to this point when Ethan was 5. And then Dad left the family home and he just couldn't handle it anymore. In fact, the straw that broke the camel's back was the Henry the Hoover broke, and Ethan literally broke down and sobbed because everybody he loves and cares for dies, including the Henry the Hoover. He actually got quite bad with his emotions then. He didn't know how to regulate them. He spoke about how he wanted foxes to come and rip him apart. He wanted to die. He didn't want to be here. He would hurt himself. And eventually we went to the GP, and the GP referred us to CAMHS, and we saw CAMHS, and they in turn referred us to child psych at Alter Hey. And I can honestly say that was a pivotal moment in our lives. They gave him the tools to cope with his emotions, to handle his emotions better. They gave him the tools to deal with, his anger and better ways to deal with it than lashing out. They also gave me the tools to parent better, because as much as I was doing the best that I could at the time, I was obviously doing some things wrong, because, keeping things from him didn't pan out well. And, I'm not saying I made those decisions from a negative place. They were always from a loving place. But sometimes as parents, we don't make the best decisions for our children. And so, the help that they provided us as a family was absolutely amazing. We also now, Ethan has a lot of allergies, which has caused him to have major anxiety, as you can imagine. He is adamant he's not using that EpiPen. So he become quite anxious about food and eating in places, and he wouldn't eat anywhere unless I was around or Nan was around. And now we see a psychologist as part of his MDAS team at Alter Hey, and they have, Lucy has made massive, massive improvements to Ethan's anxiety. And so I just wanted to make this video really just to thank everyone. Thank all of the NHS, thank all of the voluntary sector. Everything that you are doing for infant mental health awareness is massive. And it might feel like you're just sharing a tweet and you're just, you're going through the motions. But honestly, it's massive, because at one point or another, someone's going to find themselves in the place where I was, in the Costco car park. And thanks to infant mental health awareness, they're going to know where to go. So I just wanted to share this. Thank you all, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye.